Reddit asks, what were you bullied for? For having a very small, practically inverted penis. It looks like a stack of coins equaling 37 cents when I'm fully erect. That's an interesting unit of measure. I measure everything according to USD coinage. Maybe you should be bullied for that instead. I was called a biscuit head because my head was shaped like a biscuit.
Hey laddie, the Britain may need to know what sort of biscuit.
Tim Tam. And in today's episode of Spot the Aussie, we have Bogan Knows Best chiming in with what can be best described as a delicious one-time use drinking straw. I was raped by my friend's 35-year-old brother when I was 13. And she abandoned me at his house. After that happened, she started a rumor that I was a whore. Every day at school, girls would scream at me and ask,
How far along are you?
and things of that nature. I got called a whore so frequently that I dropped out due to it. It's alright. Got my GED, went to college, graduated summa cum laude. I'm smart, I'm attractive, I am happy. They can all fuck off. That's horrible. Kids can be so cruel, especially around that age. I hope you're doing better these days. Being the small kid. Kind of the same. Girl with no boobs and late development. Always, are you sure you're not a boy? Because also my parents kept hair short as a girl. I never got the boy teasing, but I was incessantly teased once I grew boobs at 15ish. I went from an AA to a E within about 6 months, and people decided I must have gotten a boob job over the school holidays.
Same timeline of development for me. Went from being called
Mosquito bites to Pamela Anderson. SMH. I was socially awkward. I also was greatly motivated to be liked. I did a lot of shit trying to be liked that in hindsight made me unliked. It's such a catch-22. People are drawn to charismatic confidence. Not too much, but just enough is the key. Even if you make a fool of yourself, if you can play it off confidently, then you'll be likable around the right group. It's hard to have confidence if you're not liked, so by trying to be liked without confidence, you actually give off an air of desperation. Desperation gives off a vibe that's not noticeable from a mile away to anyone. Desperation just makes people uncomfortable, and that's when people tend to bully you over the shared discomfort. The bullying ruins any chance you have to be confident. The more you are bullied, the more likely you are to manifest a negative view of people around you, and the more likely you are to lash out at people. The bullied can become the bully very quickly, and the cycle starts again. It's truly a vicious cycle. Confidence is such a thing. Like the leader of my friend's circle is just this really confident guy. He doesn't have any special skills, not over the top at studying. Taller than me, but not too much. Stronger than me, but again, nothing too buff. I guess like a better than normal kind of guy, but his confidence is huge, like huge. He can hype up the mildest thing up to the point where everyone is laughing their ass off. Like he can hype a single game of rock, paper, scissors so much that no matter what happens in the game, it's gonna be hilarious. Eczema which often affected my face. Same. I had to wear white cotton gloves to school. And one time a teacher threw away my art project because she didn't want me to infect the other kids. Damn, that's rough to experience no matter the age. It was rough. My mum complained enough that she got fired, but it didn't stop my classmates from acting like I was contagious for the rest of the school. Honestly, when my doctor went to check my hand after diagnosing my eczema, it hit me hard. I thought I was contagious. I was an adult. I can't imagine what you went through. People don't realize how badly eczema can affect mental health. especially when you wake up in the middle of the night bleeding and furiously scratching in your sleep. The worst place of eczema for me? The back of my knee. The scratched open skin that sticks to itself with every step you take. So extremely painful. But you try to play it off anyway because you don't want people to notice. My pain tolerance grew so much because of eczema. My high school added a new category to the yearbook, specifically to bully me, quietest student. A teacher of mine once told everyone to say one nice thing about me, one nice quality. Mine was just I was shy. My best standout quality was I had no confidence and everyone knew it. Being poor. And my mum smoked continuously, so being poor and smelly. Kids are brutal. That is rough. I knew a girl whose mum chain smoked inside, so the girl always smelled like smoke. One day she tried using her dad's cologne and sprayed a bunch on herself thinking it was the same as perfume. But she got made fun of even more for smelling like a guy. Alright, Payless shoes unite. We couldn't afford Payless. Sears Outlet was where my shit came from. Swap meet and thrift stores for me. Ah, hand-me-down homemade dresses made with unfashionable patterns. It was a little house on the prairie cosplay all day for me and my sisters. Being easy to walk over. Sad face. I had a really hard time asserting myself. So being too nice, but really just very insecure. Yeah, same. I recall asking my group of friends, why am I always the one you make fun of? They said, because it's easy, you're too nice. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Thank you. Having red hair. Seriously? I was bullied by grown adults just as often as the other kids for being a redhead. Often, people would assume I was up to something, or talking back / being bratty, and I probably was. But adults always noticed me first and punished me more harshly than the other kids, I thought. As a black kid, in a predominantly black area, wearing glasses and having braces, being fat, being nice, being smart, liking anime, wanting to be a pilot, influenced by the anime I like the most. But guess what? I'm a fucking pilot now. The sweetest revenge is achieving your dreams. Being too quiet. No, I just don't want to talk to you assholes. I was initially bullied for having speech impediment and having to go to the speech pathologist once a week during class. That later evolved into me getting bullied for being too quiet and never talking to anyone. Same with me. Bullied for stuttering and then became the quiet person. And for some reason people had a problem with that too. I didn't know it at the time, but for being autistic. Apparently people tried to bully me in school, but I was so oblivious that I didn't even notice, lol. I have a friend like that. He wouldn't notice people's tones and took what they said literally. He only knew he was being bullied when it was extremely direct. It was the 1% outcast weirdo with me. XD. That's the question. I have no clue, but they hated me for no reason. Bullies just look for any reason. The reason is secondary to their primary motivation. Basically, the reason isn't even a reason because it's not reasonable. It's just a flimsy, hollow excuse to abuse another person for personal gratification. Being a girl with dark body hair and a small chest, girls are vicious. Same. I started shaving my arms in grade school because I kept getting teased about it. Being of Indian origin in a 1980s English inner city school, it got bad, and mum got me an actual concealed money belt as I was bullied for money, so was starving and beaten up when I got home. Then I discovered boxing. The road to redemption was a bloody one. British public school in the 70s and 80s. Usually it was 3 against 1, and I had no clue how to fight. Boxing trainer showed me how to punch. One shot to the jaw of the biggest kid was all it took. They all wanted to be my buddies after that. I used to stick up for the other kids who were like I had been. Boxing definitely saved my ass. Being anorexic, my school nickname was Skelly, and whenever I used to not eat they would say I was weird and call me names. When we watched an anorexia video in the health ed classes, they all laughed, asking who recorded me. The girl died. I eventually found an abandoned loo and stayed there during meals. The teachers didn't notice or care, and I lost 3 stone in a year. My parents eventually cottoned on and pulled me out. I was bullied for not wanting to hug people. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law hated me since the first day I met them because I told them I was not a hugger. They started gossiping within the family and friends that I was conceited, weird, and selfish. They even called and texted my husband many times to tell him to stop wearing his pants, and forced me to visit them and hug them and kiss them on the cheek. This went on for years. Apparently they are big time huggers and kissers. Anyway, the bullying got so bad, we just stopped visiting. I learned a lesson though. Never let anyone bully you into changing who you are. Like my husband told me, if I wanted a hugger, I would have married a hugger. That's unbelievable bullshit. Consent applies to all physical contact, including hugs. They should learn that. My voice. Apparently I sound white and like a squirrel. Bullying started when my parents moved us from suburbs to the inner city. I was told I sounded like a boy when I was on a 3-way call with friends, and I started practicing a higher pitched phone voice that I still occasionally drift into when I'm anxious on the phone. Fucking core memories. Having parents that weren't divorced. That is crazy. For liking Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh at 12 years old, not knowing any sexual terms at 12 years old, not liking sports. I was the youngest in my grade and last to mature, so I didn't know or care one bit about sex. Plus I was smaller since all my classmates were getting bulked up and growing facial hair. Not a good time to be a small nerd in a farming country. Being raped in middle school. He was the most popular guy. I was the new, awkward, overweight girl no one liked. When that happened, my parents pressed charges and so everyone knew within days. School was terrible because all the kids would mock me, pretending to be raped in the hallways. That guy that did it had a very pretty, very popular girlfriend, who was embarrassed and very cruel. So I was harassed by all the kids, constantly, on a daily basis, in all different types of ways. It led me to trying to kill myself, at 13 years old, for being fat and introverted. Hey, me too. Same here. The Redditor experience. Because I was poor and had old clothes, I was shy too. Then I was put into foster care. Then they would tell me no one loved me, and I was all alone in the world. They could bully me for even the smallest thing, they would. But I made a friend in the 6th grade, and 29 years later, we're still best friends. For liking Batman and Pokemon. Crooked teeth and being flat-chested. Joke's on them. No longer flat-chested. Now I have broken front tooth from being ran over though, and they are still crooked. So there's that. Username checks out. Being evil. I was new at a job in a small town. I tried to appear friendly and approachable, but was later told that I seemed evil. I have never been described that way in my entire life. It hurt. Reminds me of a story my mother tells me. She started dating this guy in a uni Christian band, and his bandmates told him he had to dump her because she was a Jezebel. People are fucking odd. Being a tall girl with brown curly frizzly hair, everyone called me Hagrid in middle and high school. I relate to this so much. I was 5'7" in 8th grade and had extremely curly, frizzy hair. Boys would make thumping sounds when I walked past them. P.S. I'm sorry for the irony of my username. LOL. Being a little bit weird in a sea of suburban clones.